Ladies and gentlemen, look at you beautiful people already waiting in chat. This is great. Luigi says, "Hey, locked and loaded Latinas, that's a lot of L's." Locked and loaded Latinas are already in chat too. Look at that. Kurt24, what's up? What's up? Man Against the Masses, Farmer James coming in talking smack about my YouTube short that actually like blew up. I don't know if you saw that Glock 19X video literally got like 10 views a second. It went from 13 views to like 2,000 views or like 1,800 something views. It's crazy. And it's probably the stupidest video I've ever made. Anyway, we got a great show, a couple great guests for y'all this evening. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and jump in. Let's see. Should I take a poll of which intro I should play? Should I do the standard 30-second countdown, or should I do the cheesy after school special? I'm not going to wait. After school special it is. Okay, so just want to make a couple things clear. First off, that was a viewer-submitted intro, by the way, who not only is a viewer, but also is an individual that has his own YouTube channel. It's your boy, Tactical Pineapple, so make sure you go check him out, sub to him. He's got some really good stuff, and he does not give any fucks when he's talking on his channel, like zero at all. It's pretty awesome. Crazy Heathen, what's up, man? Good to see you. Invader Zip, Invader Zip. Invader Zip, I'll have you know that I started my first firearm-related 3D print tonight. And if you hear in the background, my 3D printer is not going burr. It's because I ended up with some spaghetti. So I'm still working on things. P38 Wilbur, what up? Savinity, what up? It was good to actually see you in person, like, see you, Savinity. I pictured you way different. I pictured you white for some reason. I don't know why. Scott, I want to ride. Come out in PLA. What's up, brother? OP. Okay, too many choices. GC9, Robert, Ribbit Harrison, Chenamimba, Dean, all you guys. Joe Morris, what up? Sport Brand. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. If you guys have an internet connection, you likely know. Oh, yes, Invader Zip, you're so right. I even clicked the comment to remember. If you guys would, please take a note of what you all had for dinner. It would be very important to my channel, the algorithm, and don't ask questions, just do it. Anyway, if you guys have an active internet connection, you likely have seen the couple that I'm about to bring on. Welcome on the Locked and Loaded Latinos.
Hello.
How's it going?
What up? Dude, you guys have like the dopest background ever. There's just so much going on.
Thanks, man.
I just want to like look beyond you, but I mean also, you guys are beautiful as well. So let everyone know who you are, what you do, where they can find you, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, we're the Locked and Loaded Latinos. I'm Rolo, and this is my wife, Johanna.
To make it confusing, I am Latina Locked and Loaded of the Locked and Loaded Latinos.
Yeah.
So many L's.
There's a reason behind that story, why that happened that way.
I usually go by Puerto Rican Pistolero.
Okay, so
I've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Rolando actually started off as the Puerto Rican Pistolero, and he was like, "I'm gonna be a 2A advocate. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna change the world." And I was like, "You do you, honey. Yeah, I'm gonna support you." And so I was the supportive wife and didn't want anything to do with it. Just I was gonna hold the camera, right? Or I don't know, like make him dinner. Well, he did whatever. So make him a sandwich.
Just kidding.
And I don't know, something happened when we went to DC, went to the 2A rally in
2019.
And, maybe it was, I had one too many beers or one too many cigars with a really cool group of people who were amazing, who later on ended up being some of our best friends. But that was like the first time I'd ever met them. People I'd followed on Instagram and admired, and ended up being like, it was Argo J,
mm-hmm.
Kevin Dixie.
Oh, hell yeah.
Mhm.
Who
Tony
else?
Simon.
Well, yes, but I was saying at the bar. I met Tony Simon that day, and
Mhm.
he was awesome too. He ended up being an
He's
awesome friend.
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Kevin Dixie has come on the show. Tony Simon has actually recently come on the show,
Mhm.
and they're both incredible people. Like
Absolutely.
Kevin Dixie is a whole another animal. Like he's a beast. And I mean Tony Simon is just fucking Tony Simon. So I mean like
Yep.
he's awesome.
I mean, he's always on our show.
Yeah, there he
Hell
is.
yeah. Yeah.
So it's just like, you can't spend the whole day surrounded by all this like awesomeness and not get affected. So like it was slowly wearing me down throughout the day. And then by that night I was just like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. So then that was Saturday. Then Sunday we were being tourists and going all over. And I think it was also because we went to the National Archive and I had like a religious experience looking at the Constitution. I think I actually cried a little bit.
Really?
And because it feels like a church. I don't know if you've been there. And
Yeah.
before they
Yeah.
used to just be at like just there and then you could take a picture and all that. Now it's like you can't even talk in there. It's a hush. The lights are low. There's no photography. It feels like it's very,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
don't know, almost like a religious experience.
I actually grew up right outside of DC.
Really?
Oh wow.
And, yeah, so I'm all of those museums, not all of them, a lot of them, it's like, school field trips or like, weekends and stuff like that. I've been to a bunch of them, and yeah, I mean, it's hard to not provoke an emotional response when you look at the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Federalist Papers, and
Mhm.
it's yeah, it's nuts. So I don't blame you. I admire it.
Yeah. So I think it was on like so all that build up, right? And so then I was like, all right, well, if I'm gonna do this, I need a cool name. I mean, you're the freaking Puerto Rican pistolero. What am I gonna be? Can't compete with that. So I was just sitting there trying to think of something, and then he comes up with Locked and Loaded Latina. And then we look it up, and I was like, hold on.
We got to see if it's taken first.
I Google search it, and it's a porn.
Oh,
Yeah.
what?
Yep. Locked and Loaded Latinas. It's like
Yeah,
it just came
apparently
up on
there's
like
a
porn results.
porno that's named Locked
Jesus.
and Loaded Latinas. So I was like, no, we gotta flip that around. So we flipped it around and we did
Yeah.
Latina Locked and Loaded. So it was like not close enough that we still got to use the cool like alliteration, but like not actually. If you Google me, I'm not gonna come up with a porn name or anything like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, hopefully you've saturated the internet just enough that
Yeah.
the porn is at the bottom of the page and
Yeah.
you guys float to the top.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I found so far. And then when we did it together, once we got the channel together, it's like then we had to confuse the crap out of everybody and just flip it and make it, Locked and Loaded Latinos instead.
Mhm.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And you guys have been doing a lot. You've been extremely active. Your channel is kind of young, really.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah, it's
So,
not even 2 years yet that we've
Mhm.
been doing this.
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's incredible. So 2 years, and you kind of mentioned what inspired you to get started. What about you, Mr. Pistolero?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Like I said, we got into getting more active politically with guns after Parkland, which was about 30 minutes from here.
Mm,
So the Republican Party here passed a lot of gun control laws. They did red flag laws. They changed the gun purchase age from 18 to 21 for long guns.
that's right.
And, that really just destroyed Florida's reputation as the gunshine state.
Yeah.
So we kind of saw what was going on. And obviously being in Florida, pretty free state, we were shocked. We're like, how could this happen here? And how could this happen when we have a Republican governor and Republican supermajorities in the state legislature?
And
so
enhanced triggers and
Yep.
yeah, it was crazy, man.
That too. So that pretty much, got us active because we're like, okay, we obviously need to get involved here. We need to make sure that the politicians here know that this is BS, that they can't get away with this, and we have to start taking our rights back. So we started getting more active on social media, which we hadn't been on for years. And Joe discovered a lot of the people that we talked about there. We finally got to meet them in person, which was pretty awesome. And throughout, pretty much we started getting active right after SHOT Show 2020. Argo J invited us to go there to help cover. He was launching a signature rifle that was helping raise money for his documentary that he's in the process of making. And so he brought us there. We got to meet a lot more people, going to SHOT Show, being new to the gun community was pretty amazing. And that was a great experience. And everybody knows that the pandemic happened pretty much right the month after that is when it started ramping up. So from that kind of blew up all the plans that we had, going to other events, trying to build up that advocacy route. And we wanted to get some training as well. So we ended up going on a lot of podcasts, mainly Hank Strange's. And after a while, Hank was like, you guys are pretty good. You should probably do this yourself. And we're like, yeah, well, let's try it out. So we started our own show, and that's what we've been doing. And it's kind of
COVID
focused.
helped because, COVID threw a wrench in all the plans that we actually had. We had all these great plans. We got invited right off the bat to do a bunch of like public speaking. And that all went to hell with 2020's COVID. So then, you got a bunch of lemons, you make some lemonade, right? So
hell yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's interesting how, you look over the last 2 years, how all of our lives have changed and how also, like you said, a lot of our freedoms were borrowed, right? And, once they're borrowed, they don't typically give them back. So, I'd say our community is filled with people that don't see a lot of the bullshit holding weight. A lot of free spirits. I'll say that. A lot of free men and women, of course. So your channel's been growing quickly. Your Instagram following is pretty nuts. I'm not jealous about that at all. You guys have gone to you guys have gone to SHOT Show, twice now?
No, we didn't go this time.
We actually,
yeah.
My job is really insane. So my 9-to-5 gig is getting in the way of being an advocate a little bit. But
income.
Yeah, I know. I wish I could just honestly, I talked to God about this. Oh my God, if you make me the winner of the Powerball, I will spend all my time and money just doing good for the world. I'll be like a full-time advocate for guns. And then also I'll have a farm and take care of I'll collect all the stray animals and take care of them. I'm like, that's a great plan. Why would God not give me the Powerball?
Man, farming is God's way. That's awesome. What's up, Wave Slave? Good to see you, man. This is my second time seeing you today.
Nice.
That's pretty crazy. It's funny how we pray like that, and for all y'all out there too, you got to be careful about what you pray for, because I used to have this thing where I would pray for patience, right? And I didn't know that. I thought that patience would just be bestowed upon me, right? But what happens is you just get put in trying situations where your patience is constantly challenged. It's crazy. So
and Biggie did teach us the very important lesson: more money, more problems. So
I thought you were gonna say the whole thing about not dip it in your own stash.
That too.
You're totally right. And I think that this world of money, consumerism, convenience has kind of left us jaded to where we're stuck. Where literally all three of us are like, man, I really wish we could do our passion, what we're passionate about and what would make an impact on the world. But I got to go over here and make money to live, and it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's the silver lining. I just got I had my annual review of I have a new, well, not a new job. This is my first year in software. I had completely COVID also changed what I do for a living. I used to be in medicine and now I'm not. I'm completely out of medicine and I work in software. And I'm awesome at it apparently, and got a raise and a huge bonus. And what did we spend that money on? We decided to spend that money on guns and going to a gun related event. So, that no better way to spend money in my opinion.
That's awesome. And I think that Luigi said the moment hold on, let me see how he worded this. This was funny. Just as Dark said he wasn't jealous, the light behind him turned green. That's funny. Green with envy. It's interesting. I think the best way, like at the stages of, because we have a young channel too.
Mhm.
I say we, but, I started out with two other dudes, but it's we're about a year in, got just under 3,000 subs,
Nice.
and it's it. Although I would love to just do this and put so much more focus into this and the content, the quality of content, the videos. It's the balancing act of, like, recognizing the world that we're in.
Mhm.
So yeah. So what are some projects that you guys have working on or are looking to work on?
Well, we've been putting some new ARs together. So
Yes.
I put together it's just an Arrow build. So it's an Arrow M4E1 with the Atlas S1 lightweight handguard,
Hell yeah.
and it's just 16-inch barrel. Went regular. I had a PSA lower that I had lying around with a CMC trigger. So I built off of that, put a nickel boron bolt, and then I got a Swamp Fox 1-8 LPVO, a Swamp Fox
Nice.
arrowhead. So I wasn't sure I wanted to go all the way in with an LPVO because I hadn't owned one. I
Mhm.
probably would have, if I went super high end, I'd probably go with like an EOTech Voodoo, but that's like the price of a decent rifle by itself.
Yeah.
So I went with this one. I got it for about like $400. So
Dude,
far I
Swamp
like
Fox is
it.
awesome.
Yeah, so far I like it a lot, and it's pretty rugged. I mean, I heard that some guys took it in Afghanistan and ran it on scars and they didn't break. So I figure if it's good enough not to break on a scar, then it's going
Yeah.
to be good enough for an AR.
Dude, I'll tell
So
you, I had Swamp Fox come on the show, and
cool.
they don't give me money, they don't give me optics, and I got a Justice. I think they got
Cool.
a little bit of a bad rep when their Kingslayer like first came out,
Hmm.
and it was a cheap, right, a more inexpensive red dot,
Hmm.
and it's inexpensive, right? So what happens? Like things, it so like a Holosun like 507, right? It takes 8,000 G's of force to
Wow.
knock the zero off. Like that's how you could
Hmm.
completely shatter the glass, and as long as there's something to reflect off of the emitter, it'll still hold zero up until an 8,000 G impact, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Swamp Fox isn't quite up there yet, and they even openly said on the show, they were like, you know, Holosun has some of the best like emitters in
Hmm.
the business for like open red dots. But what they had done is they improved the Kingslayer substantially, and then this new line that came out, the Justice, the Sentinel, and the Liberty
Hmm.
and Justice, of course, and they not only improved it to where it's shake awake, so like when you draw it, if it's sitting down for 4 minutes, it turns off, and then
Cool.
when you grab it, draw it, touch it, whatever, even if it's on body and you're walking around, it'll be on. But there's these things called iron sides, and it's literal sheet metal, like hardened steel, that goes around the whole optic. So you could beat the piss out of that thing, and it would never, like, you're not even hitting the optic. It's cool as hell.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is correct. They apparently had like some super high speed operators out there with
Hmm.
Scar 17s with Swamp Fox optics on it, and they
Yep.
were like knocking dudes off of motorcycles at 800 yards.
Hmm.
Like, it's just crazy. So
Yep.
yeah, they're awesome company. For
Cool.
all of that was said just to say awesome company. So
Yeah.
that's a cool ass build, and the
Hmm.
M4E1 is a hell of a upper and lower
Yep.
set. Yeah, is that what you guys got with some of
That,
the
that,
bonus
yeah.
training?
Yeah, that's what I built, and then we're building hers, and it'll probably be, it'll be even more. It'll be a Gucci build because want to go with a lightweight build. It'll
So what
probably
he's
be.
saying is that I am a weakling and I am not very like I don't want to say I'm not competent. I'm definitely okay with carbines, but I prefer handguns and I'm much more proficient with handguns. But we're going to train and learn. Kevin Dixie's train and learn event again, and it's 77 days away, I believe, by my count.
Dang.
So I have 77 days to improve my rifle. So I went last year, sucked, and
You
said,
did
okay,
good.
I did okay. I did okay. Like I'm always my hardest critic. Okay. So like I always want to improve on myself. And So I want to not suck as much this year. So that's the
a good
goal.
goal. That's a good goal.
Yeah.
So I mean, how do you feel about like a subgun or a carbine and a pistol caliber?
That's what she
So,
was looking
yeah.
at, but she wants to go with a regular rifle for now.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Especially, she wants to go that way. We do have like a Stree Bog, and as a PCC, I love it.
Yeah.
And she shoots that pretty well, lights out. But she wanted to go with a real rifle
Yeah, I didn't want
this
to.
time
Oh, yeah.
around.
I didn't want to not have the like.
Then
I
more
didn't wanna-
stock options too. So,
Yeah.
mhm.
Also, I mean, the power of a traditional rifle cartridge like 5.56, the ability to, if shit got bad, have the most widely used magazine and ammunition in our country. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's good to go.
Yep.
If you guys, if you're looking for anything, I was in a competition to build the lightest rifle. It was me and two other dudes, and the competition was to get it as light as possible. So the lightest rifle out of all three of us. This is when I made stupid money. They were like, whoever has the lightest rifle that is functioning, that has some type of sights, and what's up, Shooting Gallery New England?
Hey,
So, like some type of sight. Like you can't just have like bare bones. You can't just drill holes and everything. And I ended up building a rifle with. I found out, funny enough, I was looking at all these like super Gucci billet upper and lower
Mhm.
sets, and they're actually heavier than just regular ass stamped upper and lower.
yeah, a
And I
lot
was
of them
like,
are.
what the hell? Yeah, I was blown away by that. So I did that 14.5 inch fax and pencil barrel
That's
with a pinned and welded, brake on it. And like everything is titanium,
Mhm.
battle arms development, like crazy light shit. And I weighed in at 3.9 pounds
Wow.
with the terrible, well, with the usable but terrible Magpul backup
Iron
sights.
sights, yeah.
Yeah, and but honestly, I thought it was going to be a beast compared to like the heavier rifles,
Mhm.
but with a light rifle and a light bolt carrier group with a heavier buffer, dude, that thing is like butter to shoot.
Yeah, that's
It is
awesome.
crazy. Yeah, so you guys could probably put
That's what
something
we were
together.
going to go with the Faxon upper with the lightweight, the same thing, 14-inch with the pin and weld brake on it with the carbon fiber handguard.
He pulled out
Nice.
his arrow first to see if I could like if that was good enough. I'm like, no, I want better.
Yeah, obviously it's heavier with the LPVO too. She's going to run a red
But I'm
dot.
also trying. Like
Yeah.
I've
Mhm.
got I'm working out more. I've had a little bit of health issues the last couple of years. So I'm trying to
Yeah.
get back to my 2019 fitness level, and I'm lifting weights, and like hopefully won't be a weakling very
I'm
much
sorry to hear
longer.
that.
So no, I'm okay. It's fine. It's like I hate complaining because it's like not that not that big a deal. But
Do you
yeah.
want to talk about it at all, or
No, I'm good.
next topic? Okay,
I'm good.
moving on. Well, I hope you're good and hope you
Mhm.
recover and get better. So this is a crazy question, but have you guys considered suppressing whatever platform you use?
Oh yeah, we'd
Yeah.
love to get suppressors.
I actually feel like I have super sensitive ears. Like
Mhm.
I do double ear protection, so
Mhm.
I'm concerned I'm actually going deaf. Like I don't know if it's in my head or it's just because Rolando talks so freaking loud.
Huh?
I'm playing
Yeah.
pretty much. But I'm actually looking at I've gone to an audiologist to get like work. I'm gonna get molds for my ears because
Mm.
that's just like the one thing I hate about shooting, especially when I'm shooting. Well, he took off his ear pro last year when we were at
Accidentally.
accidentally, and he like
Mm.
had tinnitus for a little bit. But yeah,
That's the
that's the one
worst.
thing. It's like it pisses me off so much the fact that you got to go through this whole rigmarole just to protect your hearing.
Yeah.
With
Mhm.
suppressors, like to me, that's the dumbest thing.
Oh, it's crazy. I
Yeah.
mean, at the time that the National Firearms Act was created, that like there weren't like mobsters running around with a Maxim
Yeah.
machine gun. It was all a way it was all a way for the government to price the general public out of equipping themselves with items that the law enforcement
Absolutely.
military had. And Little did they know that they didn't factor in inflation in that
Nope.
$200. You
Mhm.
know, imagine if we had to pay $5,000 for
Oh,
a can
it
and
would
the
be,
cost of the can.
yeah, it would be insane. Absolutely
Yeah.
insane.
There's I think it was a Final Fantasy game where one of the characters says like something about law, you know, taxes or it, I've seen it used, or I've used it in the putting it in the gun context where laws
Mhm.
that are, what would you say? It's not taxes. It's laws that you know, like regulations, licenses, things like the
Mhm.
suppressor stamp.
Mhm.
Those things are meant to be like a classist thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's not
Yeah.
really supposed to protect us. It's just keeping, you know, people, certain classes of people from being able to have access to those things.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, if I hadn't worked in the industry for for like 4 or 5 years, just under 5 years, I wouldn't have nearly the equipment that I have now because it brought the cost down like tremendously.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, like, you know, it's already such an expensive hobby. And like when I meet dudes that are like, yeah, I got a, you know, a gun hobby and I got a motorcycle hobby and I play golf. I'm like, how, bro? Like, I could barely get my gun, you know, thing down. But you know,
Mhm.
I think we may take firearms to a whole different degree of craziness.
Oh yeah.
But I would really highly recommend. You probably shot suppressed stuff,
Oh yeah. Mhm.
but um, if you guys felt like going through the tyrannical process of encroaching on your God-given rights and getting a tax stamp, man, it's like Christmas when you get that call from your FFL, like come pick it up,
Mhm.
and it's a game changer. It's
Oh yeah.
you know, it's awesome.
I think right now the primary reason is we don't live in an area where we can shoot easily, and where we would go shooting, nobody else is suppressed, so it would basically defeat the purpose of having
Yeah.
a suppressed gun. So since
Mhm.
we don't have our own private range, which is what we want to eventually do, buy enough land, that's when I
Yeah,
would get a suppressor. Because right now it's pretty much like, where am I going to go to shoot that anybody else is shooting suppressed too?
yeah.
So
It's just doing it at like indoor ranges and stuff.
yeah,
It's just showing off basically
yeah.
because
Especially when the dude next to you is shooting like you know, a
like a seven
freaking,
and a half inch,
yeah,
like
7.5 inch AR, and you're just like blowing fireballs, and it's just like, what the heck? I can't do anything. It doesn't
dude.
matter.
We my buddy has like a pretty crazy collection, and he just got this custom AK done,
Mhm.
and I mean, I'll pull up a picture in a minute, but they did the entire receiver, uh, everything on it. They torched it with an actual torch, and it has that color case hardened like rainbow chameleon look
Cool.
to it, and it's got like SLR furniture all over it and shit. Churchcon SRO, but it's like a 7.5 inch barrel, and the concussion
Oh
when
yeah.
you're, oh my god, it's not that bad when you're behind it, like when you're shooting it, but good god, when you're anywhere else, it's like a Barrett. It's
Mhm.
nuts.
Got
I
to get
think,
like a linear comp on it or something at least.
yeah, it's got,
Blast cell forward.
yeah, yeah, it needs something. I don't know. I feel like I've kind of become a snob now. Like I'm like, you know, I'll take my Draco out shooting and just be like, oh, so loud. This you know, this plebe gun needs a suppressor.
Yep.
We got a few other folks in here. Chief and Keef, what's up? Wild Weasel, what's up, man? Good to see you. And Wild Weasel, I know who you are, brother. So good to see you. Suga, John Rice. Too many choices. Oh, what do you guys feel about 40 cal? Now, don't hold back.
It was like, I never got into 40 cal. To
It
me,
was
they're,
like, it was an old fad for a little while.
yeah. When I started getting in, when I bought my first pistol, a lot of people had 40s
Yeah.
back then, but I bought a 45 because I was like, if I'm going to buy a gun, the first gun I'm going to buy is going to be as American as possible. So I'm going to buy a 45. So,
Nice.
but so that's what I went with. And then after that, it's just 9, of course, because it's the capacity in 9's gotten good enough that it can handle a lot of situations. And now 40 is just an imposter 10 millimeter. So
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's a 10 millimeter
I was gonna
imposter.
say, why don't you just, if you're shooting a 40, just get 10
Yeah, get
millimeter.
10 millimeter and actually shoot a real round. So that's
So
what I would probably get next, to 10 mil.
Yeah,
So,
and 10 mils are badass as long as most companies download it tremendously.
mhm,
Like Buffalo Bore has some stuff that's like close to the true potential of 10
mhm.
mil. Double Tap. Who else? There's a few companies that actually load it to its true potential because I mean it was made to like shoot large animals.
Mhm.
And most companies download it to like basically a 40 cal.
40. Yeah.
Yeah, but I asked that question because we have a dude in here who's like all 40 Smith and Wesson, like he
Yeah.
just is all about it, and I take every opportunity that I can. I saw him say something earlier like 40 gang. I was
At
like,
least at least you don't have any weird like 357 SIGs out there,
uh,
guys.
I gotta say, I did
There's so
carry.
many.
There is one. Shout out to S. Armitage who built his own. So because the Glock 34 is the long slide,
Mhm.
longer slide 9 mil. The 17L is the long slide 9 mil, and they have the 24, which is the equivalent to the 40 cal um, um, uh, 17L.
Mhm.
Well, and then the 35, which is like the 34, but in 40. Um, he built his own long slide custom 40 and then put a 357 SIG barrel in it. And he rocks it on a thigh rig in Denver every day. And Denver, is like not in our favor when it comes to
Mhm.
rules, restrictions, and laws and things like that. So it's
That's funny.
badass. And then I did carry a Glock 32 357 SIG
Nice.
for a while,
It's a
and
good
then
round. It just never caught on. It's like one of like so many others. That's just how it goes.
yeah, I had to shoot a pig, and I was not pleased with the performance.
No.
So I was like, going back to 9 mil, and I think everyone, like you said, is kind of
Mhm.
going back. Like the technology with ammunition has come so far, and the magazine capacity is just excellent. So
Mhm.
yeah.
So are we talking like a normal pig, like Babe, or are we talking like a hog from like Texas? Because there's a big difference.
Do you want the whole story or just an answer to that question?
Just an answer to the question. Because in my head, I'm
um,
like, this I mean, I could give it a pass if it was like one of those giant boar like hogs in Texas.
yeah. So this was a potbelly pig about this big.
Oh no.
It was coming at me, bro. No, I'm kidding. So sorry, that's bad. It was mauled by
Oh, okay. So it
Oh,
was
okay. It was
yeah,
mercy
mercy
kill.
kill. Yeah.
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 yeah, and it wasn't merciful at
Yeah.
all. No,
Sad.
the moment that I fired, it just zipped right through it, and it was a gold dot. Didn't even open. I
Wow.
mean, it was just like a Full Metal Jacket essentially, and I had done testing like shooting under shooting at like liquid mediums and water, and for some reason gold dots just would not open out of
Mhm.
the 40 out of 357 SIG, and I was like, well, maybe it needs to go through more material before hitting a liquid medium like flesh, and maybe it'll open when I shoot. I'm like, fuck all this maybe shit. I'm just gonna rock something that's more like I got HSTs and
Mhm.
the old federal BPLEs now, but yeah, it was bad. So another dude came out with a 12 gauge and put it down, but it was sad, man. It was an
Yeah.
adorable little pig, and I was like, "Don't worry, guys, I got this." And it was like, "Wait, wait." I was like, "Oh my god, what did I do?"
Oh
No, it's so
no.
sad.
Yeah, it was super sad. Yeah, I can only laugh about it now because otherwise I'll cry because it was so
Mhm.
adorable.
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, I mean, I think we do put a like I think a little too much thought into what we carry,
Mhm.
but it's important to evaluate like that kind of shit.
Of course.
Yeah,
I mean, it really just comes down to how you perform with whatever you carry, and as
yeah,
long as you carry too.
Yeah.
Because
yes,
if you have something that you're like, well, I'm gonna buy, even something Glock 19 is pretty standard, but for a lot of people, they're like, I can't conceal that, or I got to change too much, and they're like, I'm not gonna carry it.
yeah,
So it's like in that case, what's it gonna take for you to carry a smaller gun? Okay, well then you have to practice with it because it might be more difficult for you to shoot.
Yeah.
So, but some people also just get, too in their head, especially dudes. It's like, I'm not going to carry a 380. And it's like, well, I live in Florida. It gets pretty hot sometimes. I wear
Not
shorts a lot.
sometimes, like 90%
Yeah.
of
Well,
the
yeah,
year.
it's 80. Yeah. 90% of the year it's hot. So
Yeah.
I go
With your
between.
like daily midday rain, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you get sweaty and stuff like that. So I go between like I use an LCP2, a Ruger LCP2, which I shoot pretty ridiculously. I can't believe that I shoot that gun as well as I do.
Yeah.
And I practice with it a lot. And then I go between that or a SIG P365 XL.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
usually I have the SIG though all the time lately.
Yeah.
If it's actually pretty comfortable to carry all the time.
Those little 380s, you can fit them in your pocket.
Yeah.
Not in women's pants. I'll say that we don't even have pockets, which is I don't know why feminists aren't upset about that, but
those are for like one single like key or like
Yeah.
like maybe a couple pieces of loose change. The pockets, man. And then the attempted solutions at female carry is like, guys, come on, like a flashbang, really? Like,
I actually just recently tried one, so I did not get. This is my first time talking about it publicly, so I feel terrible saying this.
oh no, I find it fascinating because honestly, the first thing I thought of was, does it work? Is it effective?
Well, I don't know if it just didn't work for. I'm completely flat chested. Like I'm sorry,
Exaggeration.
So, but I felt like I was like I don't know if I was just putting it on. Like I'm gonna give it another chance, but I felt like I think I must have angled it wrong because I just felt super uncomfortable because it was like aiming at my face, and I'm like, whoa, like that's weird. And then
like it was kind of like tipping up or something.
yeah, it was tipping up, and I was just not like super comfortable with it. And then I had a friend tell me like she knew somebody who shot themselves in the boob. I'm like, how is that possible? And then I tried it, and I'm like, okay, I could see how that's possible if you're dumb, which most people are. So I'm just gonna say it.
Yep.
So I'm like, I'm right now. I'm not using it as my means of carrying. I'm going to give it another shot.
Not a shot.
No
Give it a try.
Shush. But I was not super impressed, and it just might be my body type that doesn't like work well with it. But yeah, I could see that being kind of a weird. Yeah, I just appendix carry, and it doesn't really work that awesome for every outfit, but it's honestly, like to me, it's like I've had this conversation like every on Instagram and all oh, you have to appendix carry. Oh. But then I'm like realistically talking to a lot of like real world women, and they're like, yeah, no, that's a pain in the butt. I just I have a friend who's actually a trainer, pretty well known, and she's like, sometimes I just carry it like they've got this leg holster that like it looks like those motorcycle bags.
Yeah.
She likes those. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of the fanny pack.
Oh, dude, fanny packs all the way.
That works.
Yeah, and honestly, I know a lot of people aren't fans of like off-body carry, but there's so many other factors, and the fact that you carry appendix a lot, like that's awesome. Most people aren't willing to make that much adjustment in their life and their wardrobe and their belt and all that to do that. So I commend you for doing that shit. What do you typically carry?
Oh, SIG.
Yeah.
365. Yeah. Every now and then I'll do the LCP2 if I really like if the outfit just like I can't do it, like then I go to the Ruger, the LCP2. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 7 rounds of 380 ACP in someone's sternum would probably get some attention.
It won't be pleasant, that's for sure.
Yeah, and those things, people sleep on them. What's up, Sunny Guns? People sleep on them. Those things bark, dude. I got an LCP, which I always joke stands for Little Crappy Pistol.
Yeah.
And also got a Keltec P3AT. And when I had more of a professional position, I had to basically wear a suit or like business casual each day. And I tried desperately. Like I even got like the Galco leather dress belts that are like fucking like this thick that like they kind of look like dress belts, but it's like you can tell they're like a little different. And I started carrying like at that point I carried like 330, 4 o'clock and strong side of my right hip. And I would sit down in chairs. Like I'd come in to like lead a meeting and I'd sit down in a chair and my suit jacket, because my shirt's tucked in, right? And my suit jacket would get caught on like the arm and I'd be like, whoop, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm gonna lose my job. And I was like, okay, I got to find another solution. So I went to, I changed my wardrobe so that I did untucked dress shirts with appendix. And I looked in the mirror and I was like, I look so freaking sloppy right now. Like, I can't do this. So I finally was like, all right, I'm doing the Keltec P3AT with in a pocket holster.
Yeah.
With an extra mag on the left side. And then I'll just use that to fight my way to a bigger gun.
Yeah.
It's, you know, and I don't know, people that that balk at calibers, no one would want to be on the business end of that thing.
Yep.
You know, yeah.
And sometimes that's your choice. Your choice is to not carry or carry a small gun, and that's it.
Yeah.
When you're in when you have to have dress code wardrobe. I do a lot of pocket carry too, just because of my job, because I work with computers. So I'm going, you know, sometimes I'm in ladder, sometimes I'm on the floor, you know, trying to run cables and do stuff like that. So I need something that I can carry easily. So those two guns work for me in those situations, depending on what I'm doing.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, man. That's I've transitioned to carrying Glock 43X, like the 1231-ish o'clock area, and then a backup mag, which now, so are you guys familiar with the 43X?
Yeah.
So if you get the Shield Arms magazines, it takes it to 15+1, which is great. And because it's like 2/3 or a third smaller, I'd say, of like a Glock 19, and gives you the, you know, capacity of a 19. But they have Shield Arms has a +5 extension, so this is 20 rounds as a backup
awesome.
mag. Yeah, it's like 36 rounds, and I just kind of like dress around that. But that's a tough thing, man. A lot of people can't get around it, and you know what a lot of people do is they say, well, I'll just put it in my bag, or I'll put it in my backpack, or I'll put it in my glove box, I'll put it in my desk box. And yes, Luigi, absolutely, HCM holsters for the win. Cheers. Just kidding.
Nice.
Nothing in this. But they are incredible holsters. If anybody's interested, they got a bunch of like crazy Louis Vuitton holsters, Gucci holsters. Like I heard, and this was a whisper of somebody that was on a live stream, P.A.D. Ralph, that wasn't supposed to be talking about this, P.A.D. Ralph, that they have a clear Kydex holster.
Whoa.
I've never heard of that.
Me either. And this company is incredible. It's HCM, like Hotel Charlie Mike holsters. And I actually have an affiliate link and a discount code. But so no, I'm not saying like talking to shit, guys, just to get money from, you know, I'm just saying I support the company. But so Ralph has like crazy Gucci Glocks. Like he's gone like way beyond what most people do. So he likes to see it. He likes to show it off. So not only do these holsters allow him to do that, it's clear Kydex, so you can see it, but also he uses O-lights. I'm a Streamlight guy personally, but he uses O-lights, and they bevel the end, so that just looks like a vagina. They like open up the end in the middle of the Kydex where the light is, so you can freaking charge your light while your gun is holstered.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. That's
awesome. Actually really nice with those.
Yeah,
with the little magnetic charger.
Yeah, it's cool as hell, man. It's yeah. So everybody check it out. I'll see if I can grab a link and drop it in here for y'all. But yeah, so
I always joke around that I'm always on the hunt for a new holster because I'm never happy. I think that's like the traditional, like the drawer full of holsters. I have a backpack full of holsters somewhere. Yeah.
Nice.
Everybody does.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I got like one of those Rubbermaid bins just filled with the stuff that didn't work or doesn't work as well, or like I could carry a Glock 34 inside my waistband, but I don't. Now that I got the 43X, I don't really want to. You know?
I almost feel like we should have a community of like an online community for like holster donations. Or like before you buy that, there's someone who bought it and doesn't want it.
Yes.
Let's just send it to you. So like I feel bad. Like I don't know what is Kydex made out of? Like it's some kind of like hard resin plastic, right?
Yeah, so I think that's actually, I think the material itself is called Kydex, and it's
Yeah.
it's yeah, essentially like a some type of like fiberglass reinforced polymer of sorts.
Well, it's not biodegradable. Like not that,
Nah.
we're trying. I mean, just because you're freedom minded doesn't mean that you don't want to not pollute stuff. And
Yeah.
So you
like
can give it to somebody else.
I just think that's a great idea because it's like,
Mhm.
what is that? What are we all doing with these drawerfuls of stuff? Someone else is going to buy one just like it. So it's like
Yeah.
give it to your next of kin on the internet.
Yeah.
Next of
Next-
kin.
Next again on the internet. We all have those.
Mhm.
Guys, I'm dropping the link here for you now. That one that just dropped in there, that's the JSD Supply link, which I misspoke, guys, on my last stream on Tuesday. I had said that you can get P80 Glock lowers for $69 after my code. I misspoke. Some of them right now are $59 before my code, which is like stupid cheap. So before the ATF comes in and makes their magical rule change in April, make sure that you guys pay them a visit and get some 80% lowers and stuff like that. So you had mentioned, obviously, you're the Puerto Rican pistolero.
Mhm.
Were you born in the U.S. or what's your
Well,
background?
actually, wait.
Well,
You can
I
answer
mean,
this question correctly. Were
yes.
you born in the U.S., Rolando?
Yes, I was born in the U.S. and I was born in Puerto
dope.
Rico because Puerto Rico is part of the U.S. So,
Good.
so there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was born in Puerto Rico. My dad was in the Navy, so I moved around a lot. When I was 4, I moved to Japan, lived there for a
Damn.
couple of years. My brother was actually born there, but he was born on the Navy base, so he doesn't have dual citizenship.
Wow, that's crazy.
And then we moved back to the States, and I've mostly lived in Florida since then. So my dad was stationed in Jacksonville and then Miami. And then I went to college down here and met Joe down here. We got married and we still live down here. My parents live further south
Dude, that's
from us.
awesome.
But they go
So-
back and forth from to Puerto Rico. They actually have
Second home.
yeah, they have a second home there, and they're there right now.
Nice, man. Do you have any memories from too many choices? Is this actual like kanji? Are you trying to communicate with him?
I never learned how to read kanji or anything like that, and I learned basic stuff, but I remember a lot of it. It was very different than it is today. So I didn't get into video games or things like that while I was there. I watched the precursors to the Power Rangers and like Ultraman and stuff like that.
Damn.
And it was pretty cool. It was cool to be in a completely different culture. And
Yeah.
the Navy base there was huge because a lot of foreign Navy bases are massive.
Yeah.
So I remember, going through, you got to go through a big tunnel to get to the dockyards. And I remember all of that. So it was good memories of my dad being in the Navy. It was always cool to visit, go on board the ships and things like that, especially aircraft carriers are pretty awesome. So
Yeah, that's cool as shit. And I didn't know like if you guys have. I'm sorry. Hold on for 1 second. Wifey is yelling my name. Give me 1 second.
no problem,
You guys
guys.
can chat with everyone in chat. Give me 1
Yeah,
second.
we'll chat with the chat.
Hey, chat.
Hey, how's it going, Chad? This is Rolo the Puerto Rican Pistolero. And you guys are watching episode, what is this? Episode 125, 149. Whoa,
dude.
149
Yeah.
of DLD Live. So,
Stargate symbols. Hey.
yeah, and Navy pilots are legit cool. Dirk McGurk. My dad was stationed on the USS John F. Kennedy, and his roommate was an S-3 Viking pilot. And back in the day, my dad was a communications officer, so he dealt with that. He didn't do cool stuff like flying or anything like that. But there was a time in my life when I did want to be a fighter pilot. I had hyperthyroidism when I was a kid, though, so that kind of medically disqualified me at the time to go into ROTC. But I got into engineering and computers instead, so go figure. But it was always cool. I enjoyed my dad's career, moving around different places, hanging around with a bunch of squids and jarheads all the time. So it was pretty cool. And a lot of my friends joined up in the Army and Marine Corps and fought in the war on terror. and that's how I got into guns. I see somebody, hey, it's Luigi, is binging Stargate SG-1, one of the
Stargate
best.
fans over
Yes, loved SG-1, Atlantis, and even Stargate Universe afterwards. I thought I had potential, but I think Battlestar is our all-time favorite science fiction show.
here. Absolutely.
So Battlestar Galactica.
And by the way, the second version of it, not the
Yes, yeah, the
80s
2004.
version. Was the original in 80s or 90s?
Yeah, it was in the 80s.
Okay.
And then there was Battlestar Galactica, and then Galactica 1980 was the precursor or the sequel to that. And then they actually made it to Earth in that series too. So
Holy smokes! I put my headphones back on, and I hear that someone made it back to Earth.
yeah, oh yeah, we were talking about Battlestar Galactica because Luigi brought up Stargate SG-1, and so we were talking about
Nice.
Stargate and Battlestar Galactica.
Oh hell yeah!
Mm-hmm.
Tech Money, what's up, man? Too many choices. The Arms Man. I don't.
Hey, the
think
Arms
he's
Man,
one of
yeah,
the Arms
seen
Men.
them before.
Yeah, is that one
Awesome.
of your peoples?
Yeah, he's jumped into the chat before.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Great guest. One of the best 2A advocacy channel. Love this couple and what they do, especially their rants. Hell yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, the rants are pretty famous at this point. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
they're not
yeah.
planned; they just happen spontaneously.
Yeah, usually we're reading. We choose topics that we want to kind of talk
Sometimes
about
you
on the
pick
show.
topics like on the fly. Like I'm bad at that. He's got like a list of stuff. He's like, this is what we're gonna talk about. I'm like, yeah, I know all that stuff. And then like on the fly, I'll be like, hey, did you see this tweet? And then like, I'm sending it to you right now. And he's like, he has no idea what I'm doing, and I'm just sending him some new topic like on the fly. It's just like,
or she doesn't know where I'm gonna go. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna talk about this, and then she's like, oh man, what the heck? And then after a while, she'll be like, oh, okay, I know what we're talking about here, and she'll jump in and we'll go on our rants. But sometimes I'll go on like a 10-minute rant.
I'll be honest, I'm not listening.
She's in the chat talking with Tony Simon about food
like,
or what they're having tonight.
Talking about like my like favorite food or something of the topic of food that day, or like we had this long discussion about gochujang versus like sriracha sauce ones, and then like he's going on this like huge rant about something. I don't even know. It was like it got to historical / political / war stuff, and then he's like, "What do you think about this, Joe?" And I'm like, I don't know.
It's like I can tell you what I'm talking about.
Often, but
I love how passionate you are about this topic.
Whatever you said, I agree.
Yeah, dude, that's honestly the best things are the things that just come like naturally. Actually, you know what? Oh, what's up, Gun Doctor? Oh, Mrs. Gun Doctor. Look at that.
Oh, hello.
Good to see you.
Cool.
Apache Wolf, what's up, man? I thought I saw Appalachian Gun Runner up in here. There's a bunch of cool ass people. Martin Kaminski, what's up, man? So let's see if we can play a little game. I'll throw something out there, and then I'll ask for you guys to give just a short, like abbreviated response. Like it doesn't have to be like one word, or it could be like a sentence. But like I'll say like one thing, and then you tell me what your thoughts are in an abbreviated fashion to keep it, creative and funny.
No problem.
I feel like this is something my psychologist has done when I was a kid. No, I'm just kidding.
Word association.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because the first thing that popped in my head is ATF.
Oh.
I mean, I can't. The first word that came out to my head was, "Can I curse on this show?"
You could say whatever you want.
The first thing, like I swear, like it was just like word association, motherfuckers. Like that's just the first thing that popped into my head.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah!
It was tyrants to me, but yeah.
Tyrants, yeah.
Ooh,
I'm
nice.
definitely the sailor here.
Dude, I could fall into the sailorisms. At times I think when you really want to drive something home, like with passion and just a good, like solid, as long as like you put the right emphasis on like the right syllables, a good like fuck is just like
especially when you don't do it. If you're not like, if you're cursing all the time, it like dilutes it.
Yeah.
But if you save it for like, 1 or 2 times an episode when you really want to make a point, then people are like, oh crap, like shit, he really means it this time.
He means
like,
business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or she means business even.
Yeah.
So when we went to SHOT Show, we've only been there one time, and I mean, I don't know if you've been there,
Yeah.
but they have the ATF is there, and
Yeah.
I remember just being so angry and just I just wanted to go up to them and tell them off, but I was a little bit like,
It's a,
You
I'm
gotta
not
find
glad
it.
to.
Honestly, the best thing to do. Well, that's the most terrible thing in Skiddly Doo. Ron Wayne, thank you for that. Which we've actually had Farms Unknown on this channel too. Which we may be having Dimitri from Farms Unknown come back. He's the guy that makes all this ATF cartoons.
oh, cool.
Yeah, dude, they're awesome. But with the ATF, coming now to gun shows, um, to events like SHOT Show and other things like that, part of me is like, okay, like as I evaluate this, I'm like, are they trying to infiltrate? Are they, trying to like, what's their intention? And I think, they're doing everything they can to be as relevant as possible and to appear that they are an important part of regulation, right?
Mhm.
And if you went like 10 years ago and you did a poll across the United States and said, what does the ATF do, or what specifically has the ATF done lately? Most most people in our country would be like, I don't know, like take care of cigarettes, booze, and guns. Like I don't know.
Mhm.
Now they've really been purposeful about driving their way as much as they can into the to the front, or whatever you call it, to the front facing, whatever, and into the main view. And now it's all like ghost guns and ARs and AKs and baby killers and shit like that. And it's like, dude, they're doing whatever they can to be as relevant as possible. So because they can't just legislate, now they probably the one organization that can actually make law, or what people see things as law, even
Mhm.
though there's been no act of Congress, even though there's been no legislation, is the ATF, because they can take determination letters and examination letters and then categorize things under existing law and say, huh, this trigger is a machine gun, so we'll place this in this bucket, which is 16 USC. You're not allowed to have this because it's post 86 and blah blah blah. So they're being creative about it, but in no other world would what they're doing be acceptable.
Yep.
Like in food and beverage, in vehicles, in like none of this shit. So the way that you wanted to go tell off the ATF agents, or the ATF booth fuckers, which are probably just guys
Mhm.
that lost a bet, like, you got a work SHOT Show. um, those types of things, those they consider them attacks and they take action on, whereas you're just using your God-given right to
Mhm.
voice an opinion, similar to CRS Firearms, which is a great friend of our channel, who, because he took sponsorship money from a company and used words on videos, is now facing 8 felony counts of conspiracy to sell illegal machine guns. And something so simple and stupid has gotten so serious and is now impacting his life in a negative way. Are you guys familiar with that at all?
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I heard about
Yeah.
it.
I hadn't heard about it. That's crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's the auto key cards were like a metal business card that had a laser etching of I don't even want to call it a drop-in autosphere, because there's actually a shitload of work that would have to be done to make it actually converted to that. But it's a picture inspired by a lightning link. And initially, he even called the ATF, and he was told that they were legal. And the company that was sponsoring him was, paying him to talk about the product. And
Mhm.
he drove people to the site. They obviously purchased them, and the ATF charged him with 8 counts of felony conspiracy.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, even though their determination letter, or their examination letter, determining it as a machine gun because it's, quote, readily convertible, meaning that with 8 hours or less in a full machine shop, you can convert it to, like, dude, give me an hour and a folding table and some punches, and I can do some shit. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's just so crazy how words, like, just, I don't know. It's terrifying that in this country, like, which compared to other countries, we do have a lot of blessings that I don't want to overlook. But at the same time, in these types of situations where people say that we're free, they stand up and every single day say that, like, we are free. And I can't say that we are, because of the type of environment that we're living in with these types of regulations.
Yep.
Well, I'll say the reason why they get away with it is because, we like to say there's X amount of gun owners in America, but this is actually, like, we figured out the statistics for one of our public speaking events that we did.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean just because there's X amount of gun owners in America that there's that amount of millions of people who actually care about the Second Amendment and for protecting their own rights. Like, if you just randomly talk to the guy who owns a gun and keeps it in a lockbox,
Yeah.
that guy doesn't, one, he isn't informed at all, and two, he doesn't give a crap. I was talking to somebody. I was in Alabama, and my first time in Alabama, I was just talking to some guy.
Well, they just got constitutional
They did
carry.
get constitutional carry.
Mm.
Governor signed it.
Yeah,
Nice.
Congratulations
Bama.
to the Bama folks out there.
But I thought it was
Congrats
like,
to the Bamas.
I thought I was gonna be like in the deep South and like, oh, this is a gun state, right? And just this person I was talking to, who's like, yeah, I have a gun. Actually, I had to give it up because my wife didn't like it after we had kids. And I was just like, I just don't. I don't know. It's like that attitude, that whole, like, very casual. They don't really care and they don't really understand the true meaning behind or the true purpose of a gun just really bothers me, because that is why they don't make the effort. And if they did understand and they did care, then there would be millions of people who would be outraged by this atrocity that they're doing against our freedoms. But the average person, honestly, like, just doesn't care.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that.
Well, look at the life that most of them live, right? And talking about taking things for granted, or being grateful for things. Like, I'm grateful that we live in a country where we have food every day, where we have water every day, where most of us have shelter. And if you look back at those things, who controls the food? Well, I mean, companies, right? But let's say government has a hand in logistics and transportation and fuel and all that shit. The same with water, right? Like, who actually controls the water? Who controls the electricity? Which executive order, I think it was like 98-20 or some shit like that, under Trump's administration, changed every single power, Jesus Christ, I'm forgetting the term. Basically, they can be remotely turned on and off, which makes them all more susceptible to hacking and
Of course.
cyber attacks. And it's almost like that was like a plan, by the way. But my point to saying all this is that that was just a bunny trail. Sorry, but the government really truly controls all of that, and they don't understand that firearm is not your dust collector that you take to the range. Like, that is your ability to fight tyranny and evil and preserve your life. And I've spoken with people that have literally said, if someone drew a gun on me, and they were against firearms, if someone drew a gun on me or had a firearm to my child, I would just give it to God. And
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. That's Joe's heard that before from people that she cares about, and it drives her crazy.
And it drives me crazy because I don't understand that. Do you not have, so many, I don't know, I'm a bibliophile, so I read lots of books, and it's like they always have these scenarios of, like, even in, like, the, what's it called when they hunt the humans, like the world's
the most dangerous game.
Most dangerous game scenarios. It's like you turn you strip away your humanity when you're faced with, like your death, and you turn into an animal and you try to survive. Where is that will to live in these people? I don't understand that
It's
at
been
all.
removed because they don't have to fight for anything now. The most fighting they have to do is creating a creative resume to it's gone, right? That we don't have to hunt, we don't have to go hungry, we don't have to forge, we don't have to be at the cusp of dying of thirst before we find water. And now I'm not saying that that's what we need for the will of people to say, like, I mean, for me personally, if anything at all were to put me, my family, like I have a 5-year-old daughter, my wife, or any of my other family or friends at risk, that switch gets turned. And most people don't have that, because yes, we don't have the whole hunting and forging and finding water and shit, but we've gone to the extreme the other way, to where anything that anyone needs is an Amazon order away from their porch. Everything has become simple and easy, and everyone, including me, is fucking fat and lazy, and our that part of us is being kind of slowly chiseled away. And some would even say that it's being chemically chiseled away by narcotics and pharmaceuticals, the aluminum runoff, i.e. the fluoride that's in the water, the what's the other shit, lithium that's in the water. There's so many things that like are not necessarily like there's so many ideas of what may be changing humanity. But yeah, shit's crazy that fire is gone, and the people that don't exercise violence, and that don't become highly skilled in violence, but still remain a very happy, humble, healthy person.
Well, it's like they say, dangerous on demand, as they say.
Oh,
So,
I like that. I like that.
I didn't make it up. I forgot where I heard that from, but I always, it just fits, because it's like the warrior gardener, or that that philosophy where you want to be prepared for war, but you'd rather be peacefully gardening. You'd rather be a gardener who's prepared for war than to be a warrior that's just gardening all the time. Or I forgot how it goes. Something like that. Somebody can probably throw it in there, but just ready for peace and being able to function in peace, but ready at a moment's notice, just in case things happen.
I feel like
that's a great way to put it.
Going back to this concept of people like not really understanding, the true value of having a firearm. I also feel like they think that the United States is infallible. And I think the reason why I have grown up with a different mindset is because I got to watch Venezuela. I'm not Venezuelan, but I got to watch it. I'm incredibly Hispanic. Like it's a running joke on our show of like things I haven't watched because I grew up watching Spanish only TV, and the movies I did watch in the 80s and 90s were dubbed in Spanish.
Nice. So lots of like Selena.
Lots of telenovelas and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I got to watch, like, when I got, home from school and we were watching the news, it was in Spanish and it was all about Latin America. So I got to watch like Venezuela go from one of the most prosperous countries, and it's my mother's family is from Colombia, so we talked about Venezuela quite a bit. And one of the most prosperous, stable countries in South America to what it is now. And I got to watch the whole progression of it, and I remember being outraged when I was in my late teens, early 20s. There was video footage of kids that were like 10 years old, weighing 40 pounds, like starving, like we got to see that happen, and it's still happening. And so I think it's so stupid that America just feels like, well, it's America. Nothing can ever happen here. It's America. It's like, of
that
course
won't
it can happen
here. Yeah. They don't understand it, and they don't understand, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And it is just we are an event away, even if it's a hurricane.
Yep.
We are one event away from people eating each other in the streets, literally. And people don't take that seriously at all. And if people don't plan for the worst because they have access to anything and everything they want at a moment's notice, and they're stuck and they're trapped in this world, and honestly, it's not even their fault, right? Like I don't blame them, because they were programmed, as was I too, to get sucked into this world of the only thing that matters is the show that you put on each day, what you look like, and because we all have this like terrifying fear of judgment of others, and so we have to put on our little show, and our job, and how much money we make, and that's our focus, and we have access to everything, so we're not feeling that pain. The moment that something becomes unavailable, I'm telling you, like within 5 days, people in New York City will literally be slicing people's like calf muscles off for a ham steak. Like people in Venezuela, and this was the craziest shit that I ever saw on the mainstream media. Number one, I think it was CNN. I'll go backwards. So CNN was in a helicopter over an event taking place in Venezuela, and it was when the people were, and this has probably happened several times. So I mean, they're eating cats and dogs and rats and squirrels, and I mean, it is abysmal. They're like, people are dying of thirst and starvation. It's terrible. And CNN, I believe, was in a helicopter filming all these people that congregated outside of their some type of government building, and they all had sticks, rocks, bricks, whatever weapons they could fashion out of, like homemade stuff. And the freaking anchor of possibly the most like leftist extremist, like anti-gun channel that exists in the world said, man, all of these people fighting with broomsticks and baseball bats and bricks, are actually like making forward movement to get in, like to fight the government. Could you imagine what these people would do if they had firearms?
Well, I mean, look at
Yeah.
the love affair that they've had over the past few weeks with Ukraine.
Yeah.
And the government giving them guns, and you just see like Occupy Democrats on Twitter. You see the contrast of their tweets from a while ago saying nobody needs an AR-15, a weapon of war, to now, oh, they're giving out fully automatic assault rifles to the Ukrainian people. This is amazing. They can defend themselves. And we're just like, so
Like-
you want for other countries always what you don't want for the United States. So, you want to send troops to defend the borders of another country that we're not involved with, but you won't do the same thing here for our border. And you just see the waste of money sent abroad while our taxpayer, our tax dollars get
they wanted to
sucked
spend
away.
some ridiculous amount of millions of dollars to protect Jordan's borders, but they won't protect our borders.
Yeah.
Our tax dollars are going to protect another country's borders, but we don't want to do it for ourselves.
Of course.
It's
That's how it always
nuts.
is.
The dissonance is just like astounding. I don't understand how people could be like, yes, I support that, but not that.
It's because of the programming. I mean, you could kind of see the propaganda from a mile away. Well, some people could see it from a mile away. Most of the people out there don't see things like we do, right? They don't. They take it at face value. They read a headline, they see a 15-second story, and they're like, or they watch, like, how much has YouTube been just totally like blowing up with Ukraine shit, right? Like, this is all by design. And their propaganda like started early when they I think it was Fox, which of course all the people that are on the right are like, go Fox. And they also don't understand that there's an element to, any mainstream media is going to have an element to propaganda and programming. And they had a woman come on that was in a bomb shelter that they started taking people in that needed housing, food, and water, and things like that. And she had 3 kids and was holding an 8-month-old. And she was on a FaceTime call begging for our president to come over and give lethal aid and to help them fight and to, show Russia and show the Ukrainians, how powerful and strong you are, and please, we need you. And I would say this: go to those people that are, these like crazy leftist extremists that are like, no guns here, guns here are bad. But those people need guns. Like now they need guns. So now they can go protect themselves. Go to them with a rifle and a plate carrier and say, hey, it's time. Go help Ukraine, and see what the fuck they say. I could not imagine. These are the same people that sit there and say, if someone had a gun to my child's head or my head, I would just, give up and just let it happen. And man, like, it's crazy.
That's how it is. People are always willing to send somebody else to do the dirty work for them.
Yeah.
And they never want to do it themselves or take any responsibility. And really, it just comes straight from the top. It's the elites, those in power, the media. They're the ones that propagate that message more than anything else. Of, let's get involved here. Let's do this. Let's make a no-fly zone. Now, I've been happy that so far we haven't gotten more involved than we have with sending arms, and hopefully it won't escalate beyond that. Because at the same time, we were here for 20 years. 20 years, and we fought 2 conflicts here. One of them in the start was justified, but they strung it along for 20 years when we should have gone in and out of Afghanistan and done what we needed to do. And then Iraq, which never should have happened. But you've got obviously major military corporations that want to make money off of weapons. You have politicians that are more than happy to oblige. And then they end up with a situation of like, oh, we can make a ton of money rebuilding these countries. Let's do nation building. And we'll say that we're spreading freedom. But what we're really doing is lining the pockets of all of our contractors here and making them a ton of money while we have our men and women dying to defend nothing essentially here, because this is what's going on. The elites are really propagating all this stuff. And meanwhile, you have a lot of other innocent people caught in between that died too. So it's rich for all these people that supposedly oppose the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, now want the U.S. to get involved in a war that we have nothing to do with. And we're willing to do it here. It just doesn't make any sense. And it's that cognitive dissonance again of they're more than happy to do something and they don't see what's going on here. And you can see that our adversaries use it against us. Russia mocks us and they're like, oh, the Ukrainians could have chemical weapons and all this stuff. I was like, that sounds really familiar. That sounds like what the CIA said about Iraq. So even if the Russians are lying about it, which is most likely true, what moral leg does the United States government have to stand on at this point? And again,
say no.
and the problem that we have too. I'm sorry, I'm going on one of my rants now.
No, please go. It's great.
We get the parties here trying to push this conflict while taking away things at home. While we went through 2 years where half of this country was locked down pretty seriously, thousands of people lost their jobs because they didn't get a jab. And now we're seeing, COVID's gone. That didn't happen. Now you guys don't need vaccine passports anymore. It's like, how many people's lives did you destroy over the last 2 years because of your authoritarian bullshit? And now you have the audacity to say that we need to go get involved in another war to defend Europe when the Europeans haven't done shit to defend themselves for the last 50 years because they've relied on the U.S., which the U.S. has been more than happy to do it because we make money and we get leverage over that too. Because it's like, hey, we got the guns, we're setting up bases and places. You give us a deal here and you guys don't have to worry about it. But, I think that Americans, especially our generation, are sick and tired of being basically mercenaries for the rest of the world, because that's what our military has been used for instead of defending ourselves here.
Really hate the fact it's a thing where a lot of people know this, that I talk about my love of K-pop on Hank's show a lot, but I had some friends that were literally from all over the world, and we found each other through K-pop. This was years ago, and we stayed friends for years, and we chat every day.
People may not know what K-pop is. You may have to let them know.
It's Korean pop music.
And it is like, cultish. Like, if you're in it, you are in it. Like,
I actually, because it's gotten so big in America, I've actually backed out of it a little bit. Like, I used to be a big fan of BTS. But ever since they came, like, I don't want to, like, I feel like I'm that kid who's like, oh, you sold out. And like that indie kid under the stairs in high school who likes the
Yeah,
only when nobody else knows it. But it's
yeah,
just gotten so annoying. Everybody's into it. It's like they're everywhere. It's like a little bit too much and their
yeah.
fans are annoying. But sometimes. But anyway, I digress.
Mhm.
So I had all these friends all over the world where we chatted. I mean, I literally had an anesthesiologist surgeon in Brazil, a nurse who lived in Germany, somebody else who lived in Eastern Europe. Like there was just a huge group of us that just talked every day and for years. And then we became very good friends and we started talking about politics and all that. And it would always just annoy me how this is just a random selection of people and the average like consensus of America is like so negative. Like they were all anti-Americans. Even the Americans in the chat were anti-American. And I just like that's why eventually I just left. Even though we were friends for so many years, I'm like, I can't stand this anymore because
Yeah.
it just drove me nuts. It's like these girls were like would make fun of how war hawkish we were, or they would like, throw it in our face that they have better health care than us. And they were like, oh, because America is this way or that way. I'm like, dude, we're that way because we have to protect your butts.
Yeah.
Like, and they don't even realize that. So that's what pisses me off when Europe is scared, then they turn to America after they've been mocking us for years. And they do. That's just the general consensus is if you go anywhere in the world, they talk down about America.
Yeah.
But then when they have a problem, then they want America to show up.
Yeah, of course, because we're like the friend that they don't want to associate with until they're in a bar fight.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
And it's sad, man. I think part of it is they look at us and they say like, we're pampered. They look at the majority thinking that that's how everyone is, and I think a lot of us make that like judgmental mistake, but a lot of people are seeing this for what it is. And I do want to address a couple of things in the comments, but before I go there, one of our viewers, Ting Ting, said something that was like,
She's great. She watches ours too.
oh, nice. Awesome. Yeah, she's incredible. And I know I've heard it before, but hearing what's up, Faith? Good to see you. Hearing like it kind of was a refresher to see her say it. She said, why worry about one tyrant 10,000 miles away when I have 10,000 tyrants 1 mile away?
Yeah.
And it was
Patriot.
like, man, yeah, so fucking true. And when you see everyone, and I hate to say like the right and the left, but like that is what the world has become. Like they've designed it this way. They've bifurcated our country and said, you guys believe in this, so you go over here. You guys believe in this, you go over there. And you guys can't talk about this. You guys can talk about this stuff all you want. Actually, we'll promote it on social media. We'll boost it. But you guys, though, will actually start slowly canceling you and taking you down. Don't use the word freedom or independence or anything. But I think a lot of people are seeing this as like, hold on, why is the government and Fox and CNN and all this, the mainstream media bullshit, why are they all in agreement? That's something that I'm not used to, one. And two, why are they pushing so much to be sympathetic for Ukraine? And why did the former vice president at the end of his State of the Union say, and God bless our troops? Why? What are you planning? What are you going to do? I am saying it now. I've said it before on stream that I am almost certain we are going to end up at war, an actual fucking war, because of this.
Yep.
And the moment that a NATO ally provided lethal aid to Ukraine and gave guns and stingers and javelins and all this shit and ammo and technology, it's like that's it. And then I find out, oh yeah, well, weeks ago we gave them a lot.
Oh
of
yeah,
shit
yeah,
too.
we
I'm
gave
like,
them a
what
ton
the
of
fuck?
stuff.
Yeah. And they're like, well, Russia doesn't care about that. Really? Okay, because right now we're supposed to have secure airspace over Ukraine. And when those fucking stingers and javelins start blowing shit out of the sky, pretty sure Russia's going to care about it.
Yeah.
Like, just wait, guys. Just wait.
Yep. And I mean, we'll see where it goes. It's been interesting to see the posturing and where China's been kind of going with back and forth with this, because I do think surprisingly enough, I think I didn't expect, first of all, I didn't think that Russia was going to have the balls to go into Ukraine right now.
Yeah.
I just didn't think that they were going to do it. But there are a lot of other factors that I've learned since then that make a little bit more sense. And obviously, when you have a weak president like Biden, who's a puppet and can't even think for himself, it opens the opportunity for that, for something like that to happen. But you know, I have been surprised at how quickly and how thoroughly the West has tried to basically excommunicate Russia from the global community, especially financially and through major corporations and things like that. And I
Yeah.
do think that China's kind of looking at this and they're thinking, okay, there's a couple of things going on here. First of all, we didn't think that the West would ever actually do something like this. Now, obviously, it's Russia. They don't really produce anything besides energy, whereas China produces, you know, pharmaceuticals and basic goods and electronics and all that stuff. So it's a bigger deal to try to cut off China, which we should, than Russia. But I think they're kind of looking at it and they're like, okay, Russia is probably going to win this because their military is much larger than Ukraine. However, they're not doing as well as we thought they would. So they're not necessarily as good of an ally as we thought they would be militarily. And now the West is also cutting them off financially. What will they do to us if we go to Taiwan? So they either have to be thinking to themselves, do we wait to go to Taiwan or do we still try to strike it faster to catch everyone off guard? And what are the consequences of doing that? So that's what's going on there. Obviously, there's going to be economic repercussions. If we go to war with Russia, you have to worry about cyber warfare. I'll be perfectly honest. I don't think Russia's as powerful as we thought they were, because personally, I would have thought they would have hit us with cyber attacks by now. And if they are, that means that we're probably defending ourselves pretty well against them. And their military, if their military is having trouble against a third-rate army that's armed with man pads and, you know, basically infantry weapons, let's be honest, even though Stingers and javelins are huge force multipliers, you can have one man take out a tank or an aircraft. It's still, the way that Russia's doing this is not the way the US would have done it. We would have basically never sent ground troops until we had bombed the crap out of everybody and then send our troops in when it's pretty much mop up with air superiority. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But I do think that Russia's kind of now backed into a corner, so they're going to be a little bit more unpredictable. And
you know, and I can't help but like look over the last, like, let's call it like 6-ish years and say that they have very purposefully made Russia the enemy. Right?
Oh yeah,
the whole
absolutely.
Russia thing, the, you know, Russia, you know, all the subversion that, you know, we saw, the everything with Trump, everything, like everything that they did was to, you know, paint Russia the bad guy, the mean guy, the corrupt people, the dossier, all that shit. And it was solid in the news for more than 4 years, because it lasted, you know, more than the 4 years that he was in office. And then going from that to, you know, painting them as the bad guy, to then saying, look what these bad people are doing, they're terrible, they're, you know, it's more propaganda saying, you know, the someone needs to stop this villain. And then they're saying, and look at Ukraine in the arms of the angels. You know, it's like, dude, come on. So that and look, I get, all life is precious, okay? And I'm not saying that, you know, people don't deserve a chance to, you know, fight and die for their homeland and what they believe in. And honestly, I would have no problem fighting and dying for, you know, my beliefs and, you know, my homeland and my family and what I, you know, hold near and dear to me, if you will. But you can't, like, and I'm not the proverbial you, not you, like the people out there can't watch this and look at this and say like, oh, this is normal, this is just an event that took place. That, like, no, this is appearing to be designed. That's what I'll say.
Well, I mean, that's kind of how I've always felt. You would think that Russia would, after the Soviet Union collapsed, Russia is essentially mostly, okay, most of it is in Asia, but it's primarily a very European country. You go to Russia, the architecture is European. The people are more European in as far as their race. They're Christian. So it would have almost seemed like a natural country to try to make an ally after the Soviet Union collapsed. And I always felt that NATO and the US always wanted to keep Russia, even though Boris Yeltsin, after the Soviet Union collapse, wanted to join NATO. The former head of NATO said that when Putin actually came in power in the early 2000s, he talked about joining NATO, and they basically the UN never or NATO never took it seriously, and they never made the effort to try to bring and normalize Russia as a Western country, because let's be honest, they have a lot more in common with Europe and the West than they do with China and a lot
Yeah.
of the other authoritarian countries, North Korea, Iran, and other countries that they've kind of allied themselves with out of a necessity, because I think we always wanted to keep them as the boogeyman, because it's
Yeah.
easy. Oh, the Russians, they're always the bad guys. It's easy to point at them,
Yeah.
their history, and it's just natural. Like you said, they
Especially
did
with
that.
the boomers. Right?
Yeah,
With
they
the
did.
boomers, they hear the
Yep.
Cold War, Russia. It's, you know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, and that, yeah, that's exactly what's gone on. They used the election, they used Russiagate to push that narrative. The vast majority of people that voted for Joe Biden, a lot of them still believe in that. They don't think that that was, even with how the Mueller probe worked, they still think, oh yeah, he colluded with the Russians. It's all BS anyway.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think that so many people were duped. And I do think it's constant shock. So they tried to make their side traumatized when Trump became president. They tried to traumatize us with the impeachment. Then they said, then COVID came. They tried to push that even further. Now this is another crisis. So it's multiple
Mhm.
crises back to back to back to wear people down that are too weak to be able to see what's going on. And
Yeah.
eventually they'll just be like, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. That's how it is. So they'll just
Yeah.
get broken and beaten. Now, a lot of people have woken up. I don't know how many. I've seen a lot more people wake up recently. And there are a lot more people getting active doing shows like this, and like us, putting their voices out there, putting their faces out there, putting some skin in the game. So that's good. And we can reach, thousands of people that have never been reached before. And I do have some hope, but we'll see. There's still a strong enough contingent. And it's like anything else. It's always a minority that steers the way that a country works.
Yeah.
They always say that it was the 3% that fought in the Revolutionary War. I hear it's actually a lot of evidence says it may have been even less than that actually participated. And so
Yeah.
that minority that was willing to put basically their lives and sacred honor on the line dictated the history of the United States going forward. So that can go in the opposite direction. It could be only a few thousand elites in positions of power that can completely destroy this country and turn it to, an authoritarian or communist country. And that's
Yeah.
what you always have to keep in mind.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I actually, talking about this made me think. So after it keeps playing, hold on. All right. So you guys know obviously that any message of free, especially with all of this shit going on, but generally speaking, any message of freedom and independence and education of, how the world is working, like you said, like, look at the people that are sitting on the board at BlackRock, and look at the people that are sitting on the board at Vanguard, and look at the people that are the current president's cabinet, and look at everyone that in media, and look at like it's clear, like you can't not see it. But when you're on these types of platforms, when you're not doing things like interpretive dance and naked yoga, and like if you're doing anything like this, like you mentioned, we're going to get squashed. We'll be throttled and shadow banned. And that's why there's like 42 people in here right now, because they're intentionally demonetizing it. Or maybe I just have a small channel, but either way, it makes me feel better knowing that it's someone else's fault, not mine.
Yep.
But this woman did a video. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It was like within the last like day or so. She did an interpretive dance video, and during the interpretive dance video, because she looks like a total like a person with opposing views, I'd say that. And during the interpretive video, she mentions those kinds of things. I'm going to go ahead and screen share it and play it if you guys are cool with
Yeah,
that.
go for it.
How much time do you guys have?
Probably, yeah, we can stay until like 11:30 or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. So the question that's posed here is who runs the world? And this ish is hilarious. Now, bear with me. I'm going to have to mute while I play this. Otherwise, there'll be a crucial echo. So hang tight for 1 sec, guys.
Who do you think runs the world? Girls! No, not even close. Since the 1970s, 2 corporations have gobbled up most of the Earth's companies. Vanguard and BlackRock. And you might be like, Tony, that's ridiculous. I go to stores all the time and I see competing brands everywhere. The market has genuine competition because I can buy this or that, or this, or that. But all publicly traded companies have boards where the largest shareholders make the decisions. So when we investigate who are the largest shareholders of all these companies, the same 2 companies keep coming up. Vanguard and BlackRock. These 2 mega corporations own all the smaller corporations, so we have a monopoly inside of a monopoly. Vanguard and BlackRock own Coke and they own Pepsi. They own Apple and they own Android, i.e. Microsoft. They own American Airlines, they own Delta. They own oil and they own solar. They own eBay and they own Amazon and they own the car companies and the pharmaceutical companies and the tobacco companies, the food companies, the clothing companies, the insurance companies, the banks, 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 the banks. No matter what industry, the top shareholders are the ones making the decisions. Call me a dingleberry, but if you own all the competing companies in the free market, then I don't think the market is all that free. But who are they? The CEO and founder of BlackRock is Larry Fink, but then BlackRock has a board. The largest shareholder is Vanguard. And who's in Vanguard, you might wonder? Nobody knows! Yeah, I guess it's just private information. Probably the richest families on the planet, like the DuPonts, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Bushes. Bush. And P.S., if the division of companies is an illusion, then what does that say about the division of nations? Rich people don't need passports when they travel on their private jets. Borders are meaningless to the elite except as a tool of nationalism to pit us against each other. And we all know corporate dollars go into politics, and if all those corporations are owned by the same people, that means both political parties are definitely owned by the same people. So how do we stop it? Well, I actually have the answer. All we gotta do is
Man, I like when I saw that, and I saw that on like a mainstream alt, what do you call it, like alt tech, like, you know, a channel. I was like blown away that they like allowed that to go. And I mean, part of it is because like she kind of disguised it as like this is just interpretive dancing, but like, good God, like I mean, she freaking now not everything was 100% accurate, but it is like that's the game, man. And if everything in the world that we're fed is manipulated to that degree, then what could they possibly do for something like this Ukraine situation, for something like an election or a presidency, or for something like, you know, doubling the size of the ATF and tripling its you know, funds? And I mean, that's just child's play to them. And I just felt compelled to share that.
No, I think it was apropos. And I think part of the reason that they can continue to get away with things is because it sounds so far-fetched. That's really what it does. It sounds like a plot from a movie. It's like the Kingsman all over again. And so people think it's crazy. And so you know, there's something to be said about intelligence organizations or powerful organizations throughout history. You have to allow enough information to be out there to have an opposition. That's pretty much what happened in 1984. They had their opposition, then they invented the narrative, and then they kept going on with that. So we've got this guy that's he's the opposition. We got to take him out. And then meanwhile, they let you know, oh yeah, the opposition just works for us. So it's, you know, it's almost a paid opposition. And I know that's how a lot of people describe the Republican Party, because it seems like the Democrat Party gets what they want and the Republicans let them. Well, I mean, that's if you want things to move in one direction, it makes sense that it would work that way, doesn't it? And that's why when you have, not that Trump was a good example necessarily. Look, obviously for the Second Amendment, he wasn't great, but he obviously did something that pissed the elites off and the establishment off there enough to impeach him twice for sham reasons. And it's funny enough that the second time that they impeached him was for him trying to investigate what was going on in Ukraine, which may have actually prevented us from getting involved in the situation here. And it does make you wonder why they're so keen on it, because we know about Burisma, we know about Hunter Biden and a lot of the deals that they had there. We know that it was Biden that was responsible for one of their prosecutors that was investigating a lot of the shady business getting fired. We know that it was an undersecretary of state that basically said, well, you know, there's this politician that we really like, and, you know, we're just kind of letting you know who we like. And somehow that guy won the election afterwards.
Yeah.
So it just makes you wonder, what is going on here? Why do we care so much? Could it be that there's a lot of dirty laundry that the political elites in this country have been using Ukraine for? You know, maybe it's a huge money laundering scheme and they want to keep it hush hush.
Careful, Rolando. You sound like a conspiracy theorist.
I know, and that's what they always want to do. They label you as a conspiracy theorist to try to take away your credibility.
It's
they
only
have
a
to allow you to
conspiracy theory if they prove that it's not right.
Exactly. So, and how many things were conspiracy theories only 6 months later? Like, oh well, you know, the jab works 100%. It's got an extremely high efficacy rate. Now they say, oh well, you know, it's not that effective against other variants, and you know, maybe it wasn't that effective at all. Or maybe, like you saw, we had the pages come out from Pfizer, and now, oh my gosh, there's no negative side effects to this stuff. Now we know that's not the case.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and by the way, for all you guys out there, the initial documents were pushed out from Pfizer, and they are available. I've shared it with probably a dozen people. I also shared it in Discord, and they're going to put out, I think, 10,000 pages per month. It's really weird. I went through this whole process of the first like terrifying thing that I saw was so we started this channel with another guy, Light, and Dugan Ashley, formerly of Carnicon, and he had shown me that there was a patent taken out by Richard Rothschild in 2015 for tests for the SARS-2 COVID-19, the novel COVID-19 virus, in 2015. So why would Richard Rothschild, one of the richest families that's been essentially running the United States and funding, starting and profiting from like every world war that's occurred over the last century, but nonetheless, why would that family, a member of that family, take out a patent on the COVID-19 tests in 2015, 4 years or so and some change prior to this pandemic? That's crazy. Then you look into it more, and between the time that patent was taken out and the pandemic started, I guess you call it, he took out other patents for COVID-19 testing, tracking, and tracing with smart devices. And so every Q-tip that has ever gone up someone's nose, they are profiting off of. Every app that's been created that does testing, tracking, and tracing that is connected with like the CDC and the state CDC and all this shit, they're profiting off of. Then I started taking, so that was like, oh my God, this is scary. Then they show you other related patents. Okay. Then I started going back, and I literally went back from 2015 to 2014 to 2012 to 2010 to 2008, 6, 4, 2, 1, all the way to the year 2000, where the first patent was ever taken out for the SARS-2 novel COVID-19 virus vaccine trials in the year 2000 taken out by the CDC. And they paid an additional $300,000 to keep it off, to delay it, to keep it off of public record. Like, that's crazy.
Yep.
21 years they've been working on this. Why were you working on this for 21 years and not really like this? So yeah, that's why all that shit makes me mad nervous, and that's why they didn't want to release any of the paperwork for 3/4 of a century.
Yep.
Whatever it is, look, if you're an adult and you want to or have to, although I don't agree with it, you do you.
Yeah.
Kids, in my opinion, and I'm not a medical expert at all, don't take advice from me. As a good friend of mine says, if you take advice from me, you're stealing, and don't vaccinate children. That's just, don't do it.
Well, that's what they did in Florida here. They actually said that if you have a healthy kid, they shouldn't get the jab for COVID-19.
But they wrote it, the articles, as if we were not jabbing for anything.
Yeah.
And they were trying to make it more inflammatory.
Yep, because that's what they do. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy, man. This is the world that we live in.
Yeah, and it always makes you think now that if we're figuring out about all the stuff that they lied about in the last few years, what did they lie about for the last 200 or hundreds of years?
Man.
And then that makes it scary. And that's why a lot of people don't even want to step their toe into it, because it's one thing for them. Okay, I can see them getting duped. But then if they realize that they've been duped all along, some people can't handle that. Like, I used to be a neocon. I believed in all that stuff in the war on terror. But I learned more as I got older. And now I'm, I know it's all crap. And, I'm against, government overreach and statism and all those things. And you evolve. Some people aren't willing to look in the mirror and go through that change. Like, I was wrong back in the day. They don't want to accept that. They always want to be right and always have validation. So following the government line or what the media says or whatever they see their friends say on social media, that's easy. It doesn't require any resistance, and it lets them live a comfortable life. Whereas when you know the truth, it makes you a little bit uncomfortable, because you're like, well, damn, now I actually have to worry about stuff. Now I have to learn how to shoot guns. I have to buy ammo. I have to have emergency food. I got to try to get my own land. I've got to do all those things that an adult should do. But people don't want to be adults anymore. They want to be children forever.
And when you actually get to see the bigger picture and see how much of our reality is curated by an elite class, I used to get really mad at when friends or people I know on the internet say, well, especially after what happened in the last presidential election, I'm never going to vote again, and, especially coming from someone who's actively trying to, influence protect our rights and influence that from going any further. It was frustrating. Like, no, you can't be that just defeatist and just give up on everything. But so it's really hard to, like, I understand where they're coming from now that I've really thought it through and say, well, yeah, there's definitely, like, you feel like an ant in the sense of how much influence can you possibly do? Does your vote really count? Is it in our hands to do anything? And I still think that we can,
especially on the local level.
On the local level. And I wouldn't think, not that I'm pitched in completely with third party, but I feel like they wouldn't fight so hard against a third party if it didn't make a difference. And they are really they do everything in their power to keep that down and not level. They don't have a level playing field at all. So honestly, to me, yeah.
I think, just a quick note, I think that they already had a third party planned. And I think that things within the United States had changed. But and this is going to sound crazy, I think that their plan was to create a third party, which was the BLM party.
Really?
I mean, think of where our country was. Like, I don't live too far from DC. I'm within like an hour or so of DC. And there were a few times that I had to go there for work. And I'm telling you, when you came over and you started to see like the crest of the city, buildings were draped in full scale fucking skyscrapers were draped in BLM flags, and they would all congregate on every single intersection with megaphones, and they would yell at people to pump their fists or they wouldn't let them through. And if they didn't pump their fists, then they would assault them in their vehicle. And it was nuts. It was like almost like a citywide Chaz. And it made me start to think like, man, the United States is being taken over by this, and it's being taken over by something that's funded by the Democratic Socialists of America openly. It's been like,
Well, if you want to start going down a rabbit hole now, I haven't seen if a lot of if you want to accuse Russia of doing things, it's going down funding opposition, anti-American opposition. So not necessarily BLM. I don't know if they've delved into that, even though it would make sense. There was someone called Gramsci who developed a lot of the tactics that the KGB had. And one of the ways that they were trying to work to disunite the United States was by, exploiting the racial tensions that we have because of our history in the US. So I wouldn't be surprised if Russia and China actually invested heavily in BLM because it was basically an anti-American and anti-Western movement. When you look at it deeply, they went against the nuclear family. They were pro-communism and anti-capitalism. So it would make sense. We know now that why have we adopted all these green policies in the United States? Could it be that the left in this country wants it? Or could it also be that Russia maybe invested a lot of money in the Sierra Club and a lot of the other environmental organizations that were, what were they doing? They were opposing drilling in the United States and trying to exploit our oil and natural gas. So that's something that would benefit Russia as well. So it's funny how our foreign adversaries allow us to like destroy each other politically, but they actually fund the opposition that guarantees the destruction of the United States. So meanwhile, they thought that Trump was a Russian agent. They were the ones that were probably the Russian agents all along.
Yeah. Well,
or at least getting paid by foreign money, and they don't care where it comes from. Let's be honest. They're just like, you just got to check for $1 million for this charity. Where did it come from? Don't worry about it. All right, I won't worry about it. And that's usually how it works, because then they can wash their hands of it. They can say, I don't know where it came from. It just appeared. So
yeah, it's crazy, man. The kinds of things that you can tie together by now, if like a lot of people out there, it's always like the red pill, the blue pill, the white pill, the black pill, the gray pill. And I get it. It's easy to, find all this stuff and take the black pill and just be like, damn, like, what's the point? Like, I'm just going to like try to survive and ignore all this craziness. And honestly, yeah, if you can go get land, go plant trees, go, farm and like you could make a huge impact on the world if you did that. But a lot of us also have to realize, like, we have to understand the world that we're living in and be like, okay, how can I make an impact? And, I appreciate what you guys are doing. And I know it's just past 11:30 here, so we can wrap it up. I think we took it to enough crazy places.
Yeah, we did. It was good talk, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys being willing to discuss a lot of things that most people aren't willing to dive into. So thank you.
No problem. That's what we do every week on our show too. We go on a lot of tangents and we try to cover not just, stuff that's going on with guns and the Second Amendment. We talk about obviously global geopolitics, history, and how you can learn from history to see what's going on now. It usually rhymes. And we talk about pop culture, video games, movies, and all that good stuff. So,
hell yeah. Awesome. Well, for all the people in here, let them know again who you guys are, where they can find you, and maybe leave them with words of wisdom or some advice or some type of parting thing.
Well, you can find us on our YouTube channel, Locked and Loaded Latinos. If you've seen me in the chat, I was using that channel's tag, so you can go find us there. We have shows typically every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time.
Sometimes also on Saturdays.
Yeah, lately when we've got a guest, we've been doing our regular show with just Joe and I on Saturdays at 8 p.m., which we're going to do this week. And then we have our guests on Sunday, which this week we're going to have Justin Nazroff of Phoenix Ammunition. He was famous for, after the election, having his website where if you voted for Joe Biden and you said yes, it would direct you to Joe Biden's gun control policy. and take you from the site. So Justin's a great guy. He's a friend of the show. We interviewed him once before, so this will be the first time we actually interviewed him in person,
yeah.
which was great. So this
Oh,
will be the
nice.
first time that we have him, on the streaming show for a couple of hours. So
He's a cool dude. I
He's awesome.
actually was on a stream with, I was on one of P. Ralph's streams with a girl, which I don't know her name, but she went by Trailer Swift. And she was with Phoenix Ammunition. She was cool as hell. So
I wonder if she's the one that does their orders and does the drawings on their.
They have some hilarious. We just got some ammo from them, and we didn't get a drawing.
I think
So I was
they
very
have too many
sad.
people ordering.
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy right now. Joe, you want to throw any words in there as well? Any parting words?
Not really. You caught me at a bad time. I'm sleepy. I'm an old lady now.
Sorry.
But no, you know what? Let's go with pop culture. If you get bored and you have nothing to do and there's nothing on Netflix, I highly recommend you go back and watch some 80s movies to be extra entertained. That's my party gift to you. Go back and watch. We do this regularly. We just watched the original Batman, and it's hilarious what you remember versus like what the reality of something is, and it just makes it so much better.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
That's it.
that's it's so funny because like thinking back to like the what was it, like the 24-inch barrel revolver, and you talking about like the Kevin Costner Batman.
No, it was oh man, now I forgot it.
Oh God, what's his name?
Jack Nicholson Joker.
Yes.
Jack Nicholson was the Joker, but it was
It's not Kevin Costner. It's oh my God, we just saw this.
I know, and we were just talking about him the entire time.
Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Yes.
Michael Keaton. That's right.
And Kim Basinger was the love interest.
And I totally forgot that. I mean, I watched it when I was like, I shouldn't have watched it. That's how young I was.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because like you don't really remember all that stuff, and when you go back and watch it, it's like, man, this isn't that cool. Like I'm gonna go back and watch. Yeah, right. But it's fun though. It's very entertaining. So that's good. A good note to leave everyone on. Guys, I'll leave you on this note. Then I'll do my typical closing. That a lot of people in here, we talk about, building guns, and we have a lot of information available like we do on stream. I've built everything from, guns on stream to literally synthesizing legal explosives on stream. But the thing that I hear a lot is like, I can't afford this, or I can't afford that. I can't afford. So they'll go pick up a Sky 9mm or something because they can't afford a Glock. And I want you guys to know that if you hold out and you shop and you are very, very careful, I've got folks that are going to JSD and they're building a Glock for under $400. And for me, I was dead set on a Glock 19X. I wanted an all factory because I have no more room for 80%ers in my safe or in my safes. I have no more room for 80%ers. That's not true. I have another order coming from JSD. And I was like, I want a factory 19X. So I waited and waited and waited. We're talking like 2 years I waited, and I got the complete upper from a dude that was moving for $220. Totally, complete all OEM internals, barrel, and all that. And then I got a factory unused, like brand new OEM lower for $260. I was able to put together a Glock 19X all factory new for like $480 or something like that. So be patient, shop around, get good equipment that you can trust, and if you guys need anything or have any questions, let me know. I know this is not a build, it's an assembly, and I'm looking at it now and you guys can't see it, and it's, sorry guys, it's YouTube. But here's what I will say. Just as I end every single stream, I'll say this. Rule number 1 is be kind. Take the time to be kind. You never know the type of impact that you can have on someone else's life, and it also makes you feel really good too. It is literally free, and it is the highest payoff that you can get at no cost. Also live a life of care, contribution, and compassion. And we all know is no other good way to say this other than the only way that we can defeat evil is with good people that are highly skilled in violence. So become as highly skilled in violence as you possibly can be. be safe, be dangerous, and keep that thing on you. That's all I got. Guys,
That
thank
was
you
a good one.
That was good.
Thank you. That's literally almost exactly how I close every single stream. The people probably are sick of it by now, but I will say I get emails that are like, "Hey, I just want to let you know, like, the reason that I sub to you is because, I heard your closing and I heard you, say be kind and be compassionate, and that's something that's missing in our world." And, I think it is. And even the people that we're talking about that we have differing views from, and that, like, that may have different values, and that are more to like the left that we discussed earlier. Realize that you're looking at someone that voted for Obama in his first election, and see the growth in where, like, I've come to now. And just like you said, like, be able to look in the mirror and reevaluate and say, wow, I have new information, therefore I can make new decisions, based on that new information. So, but I know it's late. You guys are awesome. Guys, make sure you go and subscribe to their channel, and also make sure you go to their Instagram. And I would expect all of you to at least follow their Instagram and give them a like bomb, like at least 10 of their most recent posts, and show them some love, guys. So thank you guys for coming on. Appreciate it.
Our pleasure, man. Thanks a lot.
Hell yeah. We'll see you guys later. Thank you. Peace.